Welcome to the Paisans Podcast. We're your hosts, the brothers from other mothers, Dante, Dave, and Sark. Join us as we talk about current events, our wives, kids, or whatever else life is throwing at us this week. With the Paisans, you're with family.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If you are cheating on your husband, all right? If you are cheating on your husband, and you get pregnant, you should never be allowed to name your child after the guy that you're having the affair with.
Yeah.
That should be a law.
Yeah, I completely agree
I
with
don't
that.
even care whose kid it is.
We gotta circle back on this Russini Vrabel thing because we had a good time joking about it in our last conversation, but it has blown up. You know, I've talked to my wife about it, my daughters about it, and I'm saying I don't know why, but this has touched something in the pop culture zeitgeist. People who don't care about football are fascinated, I guess, because it's drama, you know, baby mama drama and all that type of stuff. Since we last spoke, since we recorded, it was like everything blew up after we did that recording, right?
We had talked about the whole story that broke, how they were handling it. Then we mentioned how she allegedly saved someone from a car accident, like right after the story broke. But then I actually saw something, and I don't know if this is true, but I saw something that was very much exaggerated. She was there. She didn't actually save the person. She just held the dog's leash or something after the fact. So again, don't know if that's accurate, but I did see something on that. So now that story's a bit up in the air. I mean, I think
that's faded away, by the way. I haven't heard anything about that.
No, I mean,
since.
I don't think that was going to save her. I think her, like we mentioned, I think her PR team was trying to spin it so that it would maybe help her a little bit, but I mean, so much stuff came out after that. It just got buried instantly.
Yes.
It explains, by the way, why I couldn't find any footage.
Yeah. You would think there would be something at this point. So more pictures of them came out. So then pictures of them dating back to 2020 in some New York City bar, which is kind of ironic because 2020, there wasn't many opportunities to go out to bars. But also that might have been why they were like, well, we could go out because no one's going to see us. But who knows? I mean, that might have been why they were out. But clearly someone saw them because there's pictures, and in those pictures they're, kissing, touching each other. So definitely connects the story a little bit. But then there were more pictures. I saw a picture of them in a casino together shortly after Vrabel got fired. I
haven't seen
looking
that.
like they're lovey-dovey again.
Wow. By the way, in those pictures from 2020, he's clearly got his wedding ring on, like clear as day.
Yes, and
He's
he's like all over
ring.
her too. His hands are all over her, and like they look like they're like having passionate conversations and passionate kisses and stuff. Like I know they're just pictures, but they look damning. I think the biggest thing that's come out, or people have been connecting the dots on, I should say, it has not necessarily come out, is her kids. So her oldest son was born, I think, in 2021. So after this alleged affair, or after those first pictures were taken in 2020, her oldest son is named Michael, which could be a coincidence. As we know here, Michael's a popular name.
Except that
Vrabel's name is Michael, right? So one of the things how this made it seem weird was there was a tweet that she had shortly after the birth of her son, where it said something, and we could probably pull it up at some point, but it said something along the lines of, looking at my nearly 4-day-old son named Michael and thinking about all of the players and coaches, like the greatest players and coaches named Michael.
Yes.
So
players and coaches.
Right. The end coaches
Not
part is
or.
where, right. End coaches. So you're like, okay.
She said, quote, I keep looking at my almost 4-day-old son, Michael, while trying to figure out who are the best Michaels to ever play and coach in the NFL. And look at the date.
So, I mean, it's almost like subconsciously, she's even putting it out there as like, is he the father of this child that I've chosen to name Michael? I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe Michael's a family name. Could be. Who knows? But it's
starting to sound like an O.J. Simpson. right? Like the guilt is too much that
Yeah.
even
Yes.
unconsciously just telling the world what's happening.
And even if it's a coincidence, the damage is done. This kid now has to live his life with this looming over him. I mean,
Sure.
that who knows? I mean, he's probably too young now to feel any way or even know what's happening, but at some point he's going to be old enough where kids are going to, he's going to encounter a bully at school, isn't going to, rip on him or whatever. It's just going to be a thing. Like, when he's in high school, forget about it. I mean, the kids are going to be ruthless to him about this. So that's just one thing. Plus, she has a second child, so if the first child could possibly be a Mike Vrabel love child, why couldn't the
Yeah.
second
Could
one?
this?
Right.
Yep.
It's very
100%.
possible. So that came
Yeah.
out. People were kind of connecting the dots on there. We talked about this. There was some internet sleuths who went back and looked and found that she was in Tennessee like 9 months before her kid was born, which was where Vrabel was coaching at the time. I mean, because she posted something about covering a game, and then I don't know, I saw something where it was like almost exactly to the date. It was 9 months when
Mhm.
the kid was born, which is just kind of crazy. Again, could be a coincidence, but I don't know. The court of public opinion is very strong, and
Mhm.
the public opinion is already that Vrabel's the father of her kids. So, now you add these dots, and it doesn't help. It definitely does not help.
Well, and I know last time we were saying that she has established this reputation for getting around. At least that's what some of her like former colleagues have said and all this stuff. But this kind of sounds like maybe it was more than just some type of a fling. I mean, it sounds like maybe they actually had feelings for each
I
other. They've been together a long time.
agree.
Unless she had this type of a relationship with other coaches in other cities, but it doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
At least that's
Right.
not what's coming out.
It would be more likely that he would have multiple relationships across the country and that she would not realize that she was one of several, you know.
Yeah, I could totally see
Yeah.
that. I mean, we talked about Vrabel a little bit too, kind of just being, one of the guys behind the scenes, high-fiving in the locker room and, making like crude comments and stuff. I mean, so it would not be shocking if we found out that Vrabel had like a roster of girls in every city that, he travels to. I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
But I do agree, Mike, about the feelings part, because I think it's tough to have a relationship for this long and not develop some level of feelings. Um, and then one of the other things that's been discovered since then was this Spotify playlist that was made public, that she created and shared with one other person who simply went by the name Mike. And it was it was in it was right after the Titans had lost 4 games in a row, and the playlist was called "Turning the Page." It's like you can't even make this stuff up. I mean, it's just so crazy, like how that. So to me, maybe you guys can relate to this, because I mean, I think when you guys were in high school or younger, I don't know, did you guys record on cassette tapes? Like, you would record mixtapes on cassette tapes, right? Because
Sure.
my generation, we were big with burning CDs, and you would burn a CD for like a girl you liked, and like, oh, here, I made you a playlist. Or a girl would do the same thing to you, like, oh, look, I made you this playlist, haha, it's so fun. Like, that's what she did here in a digital world. She did it on Spotify. And I mean, to me, that's like a way that you're saying that you have feelings for someone. And I look back at some of the stuff that's come out now, and it's like, how did it take this long for this to blow up? I mean, they weren't really
Yeah.
hiding it.
It's amazing to me. I'm trying to step outside of this and watch almost like from a sociological perspective and say, what has gone on here? As far as I can tell, you had two people, impulsive, overindulged, who decided to start having an affair, right? Now, as far as I can tell, she has been trying to say it for all this time. I'm a firm believer. Believe people when they tell you what they are. What I think is happening from a sociological perspective is part of it is I think our natural tendency as outsiders, seeing people who we've otherwise seen as very legitimate and somewhat institutional, meaning he's part of the NFL, he's a head coach, she is a professional journalist for respected institutional publications. So we have to try to figure out how to make sense of this, because the idea that the two of them just couldn't keep their hormones in check, started having an affair, and he fathered her children while she married somebody else for all the other reasons that people do whatever the hell it is that they do, and he was already married, makes just too much sense. When people tell you who they are, believe them. She has been saying, we look back through all these clips, if I was married to a pretty person, I would brag about it. I would post about it. I went to Miami and I behaved as if it was my last day on earth. My husband is very average. She's saying it all. She's putting it all right out there.
There was the one where she's pretending to be like the mother-in-law, talking about he's good looking.
Yeah.
It's her mother.
Her mother.
Her mother
on the side,
chastising her for not being better toward her own husband.
Yeah.
And she's, these clips where she's like, and we're getting divorced this Christmas or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, but I do not believe that that's a joke. Obviously, they didn't get divorced, but my point is she is saying reality. And Mike, this goes back to something we used to talk about all the time. When we were young, Dave, I'm sure you and your friends did the same thing too, whether you labeled it or not. But for us, we had this whole thing called flagrancy. And our joke was, you can get away with anything almost if you just act like you're supposed to be there, you know what you're doing, and nobody should question you. It's all about your confidence and your ability to simply say, so for example, at one point we borrowed, actually I wasn't even there, but the group borrowed a couch from the student center on campus in one of our dorm rooms for, the better part of a semester. Okay. When I wasn't there, but I know what happened. They just picked it up, very matter of fact, carried it out, crossed the street with it, brought it up into their dorm and set it up and lived. Nobody said a word for the majority of the semester. And in fact, the only reason they even got caught is because some girl who had a crush on Mike decided that she couldn't live with that. If she couldn't have him, no one could. And so basically,
it was actually my roommate. This one was actually my roommate that she had a crush on, but yeah.
I thought it was the girl who had the crush on you, and then a year later when we were trying mushrooms, he walked in, she sort of showed up and was like, hey, let's sit and talk. And we were like, remember that?
What's wrong with you guys? We're like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh my God, that's a whole other story.
Everything's fine.
But meanwhile, the entire world is splitting into a rainbow. It's like the entire world is prismic. And I'm trying to keep my eyes straight.
She's why are you looking up over there when you're talking to me?
The thing with going back to the Diana Russini thing is, to me, it goes back to this whole flagrancy thing. You can get away with so much if you just pretend as if you're there, you know what you're doing, and anybody would question you, be like, wait, no, I'm sorry, I don't have time to explain to you right now, but I've got a job to do. If you just take that attitude, and so by putting all this right out there in front of everyone, it's like hide in plain sight, right? Oh, me and Mike were going, oh yeah, we're having a torrid affair. Okay. And then, then they go off. It's like,
That's a really good point. Hide in plain sight. That's exactly what it is.
That's what I think it is. And now it's coming out. And I think that there's something else too, that there's another psychological level to this that's unfortunate. It's kind of sad, I think. I also think there's something to the fact that, first of all, he will not be ostracized for this. She is already being dragged and called, this is how she got all her stories. And effectively, she's being called a whore or a slut at this point.
And a fraud. I saw an article that just basically said she's a fraud.
Yeah. And he is just like, hey, boys will be boys.
Well, yeah. I mean, we talked about he was at the season ticket holder event for the Patriots. Well, so the draft happened since all this broke. He was there for the first 2 days. And then the last day he was like, I'm going to counseling, which is okay, this is definitely a weak accountability measure, but okay, fair, whatever. Yeah. And then, so I guess he spent 1 day at counseling. I don't really know, because then the following week they had the season ticket holder meeting, which he was at, and he got a standing ovation from the fans. So they don't care. They could care less.
He's coach of the year. Did you know he was coach of the year last year?
Oh, I actually didn't
Uh,
realize that, but I guess that kind of makes sense. They went to the Super Bowl, so it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also, by the way, just quick aside, can't believe that he did not end up as the coach of the Jets, because this, if we were in the whatever universe where he did take the head coaching job as the Jets, all the talk would be about how obviously more Jets, the Jets are going to jet, like all that,
So true.
So
Yeah,
there's
yeah. The
something,
narrative would be completely different if he was on the Jets
yes.
and this broke.
And notice, by the way, there's no narrative of anybody going, look, what's the Patriots' culpability in this? And nobody is asking that question yet. I will say, in the last few days, I've started to see a couple analysts saying, I'm not certain so much that come day one of the season that Mike Vrabel will be the coach anymore. It depends on if they can get this to go away or not.
Well, if they start losing, it's going to get loud. It's going to get loud. But if they win, they're just going to move. Like, people are just going to move on and forget about
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a weird dynamic. I also saw something too that, kind of speaking related to the Jets thing. I saw a story, I should say, where they were saying that the Titans might have known what was going on, and that might have been the reason he was fired. I mean, we talked a little bit about that last time, where
Wow.
it's like, if again, don't know if that's true, but they're kind of connecting the dots that maybe the Titans knew about this and they were like, we can't have this, so we're just gonna fire. Now, again, if he was winning, if the Titans were a good team under him, and because I guess at that point they were losing quite a bit, they probably would have looked the other way. But they're losing, and now they're hearing about this affair. They're like, we can't have this. We're just gonna move on. Um,
Maybe.
I still feel like her responsibility is a little different just because she's supposed to be the reporter or insider, whatever the hell that means. And she
Yeah.
does have a responsibility to not be biased, which I don't know how she couldn't be with this information. So it is a little different, but I think he deserves some punishment or some repercussion.
100%, Dave. She's held to a different ethical standard as a journalist, right? I completely agree. And her career probably is over unless, to your point, she gets a job at someplace like a bar stool. But even that, now I have to wonder, if I'm Dave Portnoy, now that more has come out, you got to be looking at all this and just go, is this a stable person? I mean,
Right.
can I
Yeah.
rely on her how can I trust her?
Well,
Because
especially with
again,
everything that's come out since that original story, bro.
it's important not to forget this. When the first news of this came out, both she and Vrabel were like, this is a joke. Her first response, of course, was, this is a double standard just because I'm a woman, which, why she played that card so early, I don't understand, but she threw it immediately. And everybody's like, yeah, right. That doesn't mean shit to us. Vrabel said, this is laughable. So laughable, I won't even, give it a response. Now, at that point, they both knew this has been going on for a long time. She might even know this guy is the fucking father of one or both of my kids.
Right.
Okay. Knowing all that, their immediate response is double down. This is all bullshit. Nothing sticks to me. Okay. To me, it's like, yep, that's the first sign of delusion. And you're convinced, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid here. You're convinced that you can get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah. He, by the way, when he addressed the press, the first thing he said was that he was going to keep it between himself and the team. He said, this is between me and the team, and we'll treat it that way. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. What a cop out. Yeah, it's right. It's not even between him and his team. Now, his wife has since been photographed at the airport.
Yes.
And she's got her wedding ring on. So people make something of that. As far as I'm concerned, that's not an easy thing to walk away from. And she might well be thinking about whether she needs to stay married or not. Doesn't mean she's going to pull the ring immediately.
They've been married for almost 30 years. So it's not an easy thing.
Look, for all we know, she knows her husband. She's not shocked by this. And she's been looking the other way for a long time. That could very well be the situation.
That's very possible.
Yeah. Or there's another possibility, maybe the other end of the spectrum, which is that she is going, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, and she's seeing 2020 and she's going, hang on, motherfucker. How long has this been going on? And who else is it? For all we know, it's that. And I don't know what to think of Mike Vrabel. I don't know very much about him. I mean, as you've said, Dave, maybe the guy high-fiving and everything else. There's a world where he has grown up and lived his life so privileged insofar as he's the best student in his elementary school, the best athlete in football, maybe other sports, all his life growing up, and always been told, Dave, I'm sure you've heard this from dad because dad has got this down. These guys hear nothing but you're the best. The rules don't apply to you, whatever you need, level upon level upon level. And this is a guy who may have heard it his entire life through his coaching, like through his entire playing career at the professional level. And now he's coaching. And so he's never been told no. Entirely possible that in his mind, he's like, I don't understand. Like, what's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see him having any remorse because it just looks to me like in his mind is like, I guess I don't understand why there's a question. Every time anything goes wrong in my life, everybody goes, oh, it's Mike. Never mind. Or let's make this go away or whatever it is. So why is this any different?
You're basically creating a sociopath.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
you're right, Mike. You're exactly right. And not for nothing, sociopaths, we think about, they go out and they kill people. Yeah. Or they have affairs with multiple women across the country. They father multiple children across the country. They take no accountability for it. And then when people call them on it, they're like, I don't understand. What are people here for other than for me to use them?
And by the way, the Patriots tried to kill this story. So talking about like how no repercussions, they were trying to kill the story so it never came out, so there would be no repercussions.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
maybe goes against.
They've already tried to cover for him. Yep. Well, we were talking about that in the last one, and it makes too much sense. Robert Kraft. Supposedly he was very doting on his wife in the time that until she passed away a few years ago. And when she passed away, it was like a huge thing across the Patriots organization. So I want to hold on to that. I don't care that it's Robert Kraft. To me, it matters more that a human being has been honest and loving to his wife. So I hope that that's the case. A couple of years ago, when the shit came out about the massage parlors, I think that was after his wife passed.
I was going to ask that.
I actually don't know.
It was after his wife passed. But again, you see that and you go, okay, but am I supposed to believe that he waited a full year after his wife passed and then he decided to go get happy endings? Right. It's like, or has been the modus operandi, and he's perfectly comfortable lying to his wife and treating her very well and doting on her, but at the same time having affairs. There are many men who, I shouldn't say many, but there are men who do it. And some of them, their wives are clueless, and some of them, their wives, they know exactly what's going on.
Well, and I was sort of wondering the same thing about her husband, because how long she's been essentially bashing him and saying all these things on the air, right? If he had not hired the private investigator, I would have thought maybe he gets off on this, or maybe he's like, that's just the agreement they have for their relationship. But then he's got a private investigator following her. So,
well, they said that was a rumor. Now I've since heard that these photos did not come from a PI. It sure looks like it to me, Mike.
Yeah.
Those look like telephoto shots through the trees of somebody who was specifically trying to get the two of them together in the same frame.
Yeah.
So
I agree, because I also don't think either one of them is famous enough for a paparazzi to be like, oh, look, Vrabel and Diana Russini are in this hotel. Like, they wouldn't care. They would probably be like, who are these people?
I agree. So if I bumped into Diana Russini on the street, I wouldn't have known who she was.
Right. Well, Mike, you're bringing up an interesting point about her husband, because I was thinking about this too. When I was walking the dog this morning, he has to see these clips. So what is the conversation when they're both home with each other, right? Like, she goes on ESPN, she bashes him about how he's average, and and then she kind of makes that weak recovery about how he texted her, all that, whatever. They have to go home that night, right, to see each other. Yeah. What is the conversation that's being had? Is he like, listen, you got to stop talking about me like this? Or is he just like, she comes in, she's like, hey, listen, you're going to see something on ESPN later. Like, I was totally joking though. And then he's just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't understand, because there's just so much of these clips of her that are just out there. You're like, how could you not, as a man, as a husband, just like stand up for yourself a little bit to be like, hey, listen, don't talk about our relationship when you're on the air. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you could at least set that standard if you're in a loving marriage. But
yes,
I don't know.
There's a clip of her. on one of the clips of her on ESPN, and she's joking, quote unquote, about how she and her husband are their texts. She's like, our texts are like two robots.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, hello, okay, thank you. Like, it's very. So I think you got it there, Dave. That's probably reflective of the nature of their relationship, and maybe for a while now. I mean, that's the other part of
sad.
this. They both may have known that the marriage was over for some time, and now it's just, she took the whatever somehow or another. This obviously is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I can't imagine he's not in divorce proceedings with her.
I mean, he has to, especially if there's a private eye that he allegedly hired or apparently hired. I mean, I don't know how he could with all this stuff that's come out. I mean, he's probably now questioning the validity of his own children, which I
I
can't
was going to
imagine
say,
feels good.
oh, I would be demanding a DNA test for both of
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And,
I think we're
here's
going to hear that happened at some point.
you know what's terrible too? And Dave, you're going to know this soon enough. You fall in love with your children.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't understand, like, look, he has fallen in love with these kids, I'm sure. I'm sure that he thinks of himself as these kids' father. And so if he were to get news that they were not, I mean, I believe that you guys would probably agree with me from where I sit. To me, that is every man's worst fear, is that you're
Yes.
going to raise kids that aren't your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because unknowingly, because it's, it costs men so much to care. I was having this conversation with Jen about this yesterday too. For us as men, when we care about a thing, it's not the same. Like, we don't mean like I care about the color of the room or okay, yeah, I care, whatever. Sure, I have an opinion. Okay. But for us, for men, when we say we care, that means devotion. That means like, I care about my wife. I care about my kids. I don't really care about much else,
Right.
like in the truest sense of the word. It's not even about love. It's about, to care means I'm going to pretty much take off pieces of myself to protect and provide for the people that I care about.
You're happy if they're happy. That's what makes you happy. That's what gives you purpose and joy.
Right. So to find out that you've given a piece of yourself to a woman who has cuckolded you and then had two kids behind your back, two kids, and lied to you that and I'm sorry, but do not tell me that a woman knows. I'm sorry, but they know, she knows. So I won't buy for a second that she doesn't think that the kid is. And by the way, not for nothing, but even if she were to try and suggest that she didn't know, the tweet alone is like bullshit, lady. It's gut wrenching, actually, when I think about it. It's gut wrenching because you can't give up on those kids at this point. It's too late. It's like you've already taken a piece of yourself out and put it on them now. You care.
Well,
And it's not on them. Like
yeah,
the kid,
no, not at all.
as far as the kid is known, you're his dad and he loves you. And you'd be like, how can I leave this poor child? He loves me. He thinks I'm his father.
Yeah. There's a part of me, if I was in that situation, in this guy's situation, I'd almost not want the DNA test because I almost wouldn't want to know that these aren't my biological kids, because then that way it might be just more gut wrenching, to find out that
Yeah.
they're actually not. So it's almost
I'd need
like,
to know.
let me just be, yeah, no, I agree with you that I think you'd kind of have to know because
I'd
you have
need
to
to
close
know.
the chapter on, that
Yes.
marriage. But
I can make a conscious choice to love them despite the fact that they're not my children. Like, I can make that choice. I would make that choice. I'm thinking this through now. But to not know, no. I don't want to be in ignorance. I want to know the truth. Because you know what? How great would it be? Do you do the test? You're like, no, they are my biological children. Like, gee.
yeah,
Well, okay.
That's the flip side of it. Yes, maybe they are actually his kids. I think it's just like
Right.
we're all kind of under the assumption they're not his kids. I think literally
I've already
everyone-
decided.
Yeah. And that's the focus now because they've thrown their shit away. I mean, they're whatever. He's going to go probably continue to coach or do something somewhere. She'll do something, but they've thrown that away. It's about the kids now, to your point, Dante. They've got to grow up.
This dovetails into something else we had touched on too. And I don't know right now exactly what the crossover is, but there is something between this and this other phenomenon we have been talking about, which is what seems to me this rising set of cases of young women teaching in schools and having affairs with their young male students. I'll have to call it up when I don't have my laptop connected right now, but there was a story just in the New York Post today it's a couple days old, about a woman. She was teaching at a high school, and she's now 32 or 33. And when she was like in her late 20s, she slept with one of her students. The kid was like 16. You're
My
reading
God.
stories about these other ones. The boys are 15, 14. I read an article a couple weeks ago. Some mother just got convicted. Some woman got convicted. She had sex with one of her son's friends at a pool party. So it's her son and his friends, and she decides to come down in a bikini. Okay, now look, she's 40, in her early 40s, but she's a fully mature woman. She's good looking enough. Like, boys are still boys. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but maturity doesn't, like, I think mature women look great. I don't care, like my point is the fact that it's her son's friend, and it's like she's there at the party thinking that she's one of the kids. That's the ultimate point. There is something going on where these young women are still trying to live. It's like they don't want to grow up. They want to still behave. They still think in their minds they're 16, 17 years old. And so they find 17-year-old boys attractive, even though they're in their 20s. Most of them, the time they're married, they're married to some innocent guy who gets his fucking face plastered all over the world because he's he's the latest cuck.
Oh, it seems like every day you see something. Like I don't know, maybe that's just my feed on social media, but I feel like every day I'm seeing
What does it say
one
about
of
you?
these. Yeah, exactly. But kind of so related to this, like I get your point.
Mm-hmm.
This has been happening though for like maybe not women doing this to men, but if they were men doing it to little girls or little boys, they'd be like, and those people have existed for forever.
Yeah. And it's not really consent. It feels like with a guy doing it to girls, it's like generally not a consensual thing.
Yeah.
It seems to me fully consensual. These kids are
Well,
not saying they were taken advantage of.
right.
Nice.
There's a little bit of a double one. Yeah, right. South Park did that episode, right? But Joe Rogan, I know we're familiar more with his podcast, but in his stand up, he has a bit about if he had a son and a woman was, gonna basically try to take advantage of his son for a movie role, he'd be like, bitch, get it together. You're gonna be Batman. Like you're gonna be Batman.
Well,
And it is kind of just like this double standard because I mean we're from our perspective, we hear this, we're like, look at this teacher, like hot, like in her 30s, 17-year-old kid. We're like, that's like where when I was
my
17,
dream.
we would have been like, well, yes, of course.
Of course.
Every movie
Yes.
you ever saw as a kid.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
I'm not saying it's healthy, and they are prosecuted. Like, these cases come up because these people get charged and convicted,
Yeah.
and they have to register as sex offenders.
Mhm.
So it's not as if the law isn't being applied to them, but it strikes me just that this is the new phenomenon is attractive women being into young, like teenage boys. They want the boy who's popular. It's like they literally think they're still in high school. And
I
that's
think
why
you
they
just
want to
nailed
be,
it there.
right?
It's like the
That's what I
popular
see.
boy or something that's appealing. Maybe it's not always like the football player, but I could totally see
It's
that scenario happening where it's like, oh, I never had the chance at the football player when I was in high school.
exactly. And now I'm mature and curvy, and he's looking at me. It's an adventure to him. Like, whatever, the attention. And it's something in them did not mature to say, I'm a woman now. I don't like boys anymore. I like men. Being hot to other people is like, look, yeah, that doesn't go on forever. And accepting that is part of each of us. It's part of our respective roles. For women, it's really a challenge because, if that is all you have known, and that is the only skill I'll say you've developed, and you haven't made yourself a holistic person, well, it's like an artist who only knows one song. All you
Yeah.
can do is play the same song over and over again and hope that more people will listen to it. So I went off on a tangent there, but what I was saying is, to me, this is reflective of a mentality that is like a refusal to move on. And I can relate this to the Russini thing because I see this sort of the same thing. It's like,
They're still little kids having this
yes,
fling and,
yes, she
Well,
wants
he's
to be
the
hot
jock.
for everybody.
Yeah, and he's the
Yes.
jock.
He's the jock, exactly. Look, I don't give him a pass. I just don't expect much of him. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying he is not wrong for doing what he's doing, but I also like when a dog does what a dog does, you can't be surprised.
It's interesting you say that because, in some of the past, like recent episodes, we were talking about some of the primal drivers for men and women. And like, I'm guessing in these situations, it's not the sex itself. It's not like a guy's perception of scoring with a woman, right? There's something else there to what you're saying. We talked about women wanting to feel safe, and maybe that's some extension of that. I feel safe because I feel young. I feel attractive.
I think you nailed it, Mike. You can almost always bring it back to safety for women, right? So somewhere deep down, and we don't know her well enough to really psychologically analyze her, but somewhere deep down, you're exactly right. Some part of her doesn't feel safe, and something about feeling attractive to men makes her feel safer. There's probably something inside her that, and then there's also too, there's just the basic straightforward of like, I have a man who provides for me. I mean, she provides for herself. She obviously had a very successful career, but I have a man with whom I have my home, but then I have this other space where I get excitement and tingles and, the risk part of it, which excites the little kid inside me who likes to take the risk and likes to be bad. So there is definitely something there too with safety. It's too bad. I really do feel for her kids, and I feel for her husband, and I feel for Mike Vrabel's wife and his kids. He's got like 6 kids or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe
They're
it's
probably
3.
older. They're probably older because he's been married for a while.
Yeah. I think he's got, I want to say, no, I keep changing the number, but I believe he's got a number of kids, and I think he might even be one of these guys who's got a bunch of daughters. Right?
I feel like that makes it a lot worse, but
I agree. It does.
what do I know? I don't have a daughter yet.
Well,
in a couple
Yeah.
months.